The air vents bled thick copper mist and crushed white stone. A 12-ton mass of thick bone locked its path forward. The soft mammal did not run. She stood in the dirt and started doing math. It charged. She measured. The floor broke. I was trained to measure power in tons and teeth, but what I saw that cycle broke my math entirely. 3 hours earlier, the new testing cycle began. My boots rested on the steel deck of the high watchtower. I looked down at the pit 60 meters below. The fighting ring was a huge trap of dark rock we called the anvil. Deep gears turned under the floor. The walls were lined with thick iron bars. It held a simple rule. The artificial gravity sat at 5 times normal weight. You either proved your raw strength, or the floor crushed your chest. The Vantoki Directorate built this place to weed out the weak. We believed that big muscles and thick shells won every fight. 94 recruits had died in this room. Not one had passed the final test. 11 fighters stood on the black rock. 4 belonged to the desert worker caste. Their thick legs usually carried them across rough sand dunes. They had wide shoulders and heavy hands. 3 heavy gas breathers wore thick metal plates over their wide backs. Clear tubes ran into their necks. They all looked strong. They all looked ready to kill something. Then there was Candidate 71. Her file named her Bexley Tar. She stood a bit over 1.5 meters tall. No hard shell covered her soft pink skin. She wore a faded blue work shirt and gray cargo pants. A piece of fake bamboo rolled between her teeth. She looked like she belonged in a repair shop, not a death trap. My neck scales rested in a calm, flat green. As the guard of this test, I knew how this played out. Soft things did not survive the anvil. They lacked the thick bones needed to push back against the dark rock. I pulled up her file on my screen. It said she was a deep-core structural surveyor. That meant nothing in a fight. The main horn blew. Red lights washed over the stone. The heavy gravity turned on all at once. The floor shook as the deep machines spun up to full power. The 4 desert workers dropped first. Their dry joints cracked loudly under the sudden weight. The sharp sound echoed up the tall metal walls. They tried to stand, but their knees bent the wrong way. I marked them as dead on my screen. The gas breathers lasted a few seconds longer. Then the air pressure dropped fast. Their breathing tubes hissed loudly. Thick fluid leaked from their masks. They fell to their knees and stopped moving. The heavy air was too much for their lungs. I looked down at the human girl. She had not fallen. She just chewed her stick. Her right hand tapped a steady beat against her leg. Tap, tap, tap. I thought it was just the shakes of a dying animal. Or maybe she was just trying to stay warm in the cold room. She looked down at the dark stone. The rock under her boots was split into large, heavy plates. The plates moved up and down on a hidden timer. She watched the lines in the floor. She reached to her belt and pulled out a small plastic box. A yellow string hung from the end. She knelt under the heavy weight. "This foundation has a 5-degree drift," she said. Her voice carried easily over the wind. She pulled the yellow string tight across the ground. Blue chalk dust fell onto the black rock. She snapped the line hard against the stone. A perfect blue mark cut across a wide crack in the floor. My green scales felt warm. Why did she care about how flat the floor was? She was about to die. The deep under the ring. Heavy iron chains began to pull. The main gate was opening. The sound of grinding metal filled the deep pit. The big beast crawled out of the dark. We called it the Dreg Goliath. 12 tons of white bone plates scraped against the stone walls. It had no eyes. It hunted by feeling heavy steps on the ground. It owned this pit. It grew hot from its breath. We built this trial to test raw force. The beast had killed many times. It never stopped once it started a run. It could not turn left or right. It just smashed straight through anything in its way. Its front claws were the size of small speeders. The beast slammed its front claws down. The rock shook hard. turned its huge head toward the human. She was the only thing still standing in the dust. The beast scraped its back legs against the floor to get ready. I checked her life signs on my screen. I waited for her heart rate to jump. Fear always came before the end. Mammals always panicked. Instead, the numbers dropped. Her pulse slowed from 78 beats a minute to a dead calm 49. Bexley rolled the stick to the left side of her mouth. She stepped back from her blue chalk line. She tapped her leg again. Tap, tap, tap. It matched the exact timing of the moving floor plates beneath her boots. She had found the rhythm of our hidden machines. The computer flashed a red warning on my screen. It said it found a huge logic error in her brainwaves. The human was not getting ready to take a hit. She was looking at the beast, then the rock, then the blue line. She was building a physics plan. The beast roared loudly. The sound hurt my ears even up in the tower. It pushed off its back legs. Dirt kicked up high into the air. It ran fast. It hit 140 kilometers an hour in 3 quick steps. The gap was just 18 meters. It would close in 2 seconds. Bexley calmly spit the chewed stick out onto the rock. She wanted a clear view. She did not reach for a gun. She did not raise her hands to block. She stepped to the side of the blue line. Her boot rested next to a loose chunk of black stone. It weighed many times more than she did. To her, it was just a wedge. To the beast, she was just meat waiting to be crushed. The giant beast crossed the blue chalk line. At that exact split second, Bexley kicked the loose rock into the deep crack. She did not throw a punch. She did not yell a battle cry. She just shifted her small body weight onto the rock wedge. She locked her knees straight. No heavy weapons, no biological armor, no wasted movement. The heavy floor plate shifted up from the deep gears at that exact moment. Her small push acted like a perfect lever. The floor caught the fast speed of the charging beast. The dark rock violently threw 12 tons of bone straight up into the air. The beast could not stop its own forward push. The giant beast flew 18 meters high. It flipped backwards. It crashed hard into the thick steel roof of the pit. White bone rained down over the empty ring. Thick dust filled the air. The beast hit the floor and did not move again. The heavy trap had killed its own master. The console screen blinked twice. Her heartbeat returned to a steady 78 beats a minute. The dust slowly cleared from the room. My neck scales flashed a bright, sick violet. The loud ring went totally dead. Nothing moved in the dust except the small human. She did not look up at the broken roof. She did not look at the dead giant. Bexley turned a small handle on her plastic box. The yellow string zipped back inside with a quiet click. She wiped the blue dust on her pants. "Mind the drop," she said. 2 days later, the High Council changed all the rule books. They locked the files away in the deep vault. They labeled her kind a pure danger to all buildings. No soft mammal was allowed near the foundation of any base ever again. We measured combat superiority in tons. She measured it in angles. 9 months passed. The tall testing tower was shut down for good. The small plastic box now sits in a clean glass case down in the main hall. A small white light shines on the blue dust still stuck to the yellow string. The geometry of our dominance had been drawn, measured, and snapped. I stand alone in the hall. The metal floor beneath my boots has never felt safe again.